district. So he's a great colleague on the home front as well. So now we're going to move into the portion that is the speak out. And Allison, you're going to give me that list? And someone will give me my glasses. Get my glasses over there. Children, this is called presbyopia, i.e., once you're over 40, you need to wear reading glasses, right? Okay, so our first speaker is someone who has made the trip up with his mom, and that is Dylan Canton. And then next up on our list is Ryan Cook and Sage Myers, and then Naquan McLean. Thank you. So, Dylan, where are you? There you are. Come on over.
My name is Dylan Canton, and I'm here because my mom said I can come. and so I like how
about your school. You want to talk about
the school I go to is PS 125. And I have a tutor that goes there every day, and it's very fun because we read a book and we do like speech and stuff, and it's very fun. And the camp I went to was fun because I got to do mountain biking, sports, and frisbee, and it was very fun. Am I done now?
Thank you, Dylan. Oops. And then next we had Ryan Cook. Ryan? Welcome, Ryan. Here you go. I'm going to give you the microphone. Try and hold the microphone close to your mouth, okay? So everybody can hear you.
Hello, my name is Ryan Cook. I live in Lindenhurst. I'm 9 years old, and I can't read. Most of you guys can't read, like all the kids here, like you. Maybe some parents, like you. I live in Lindenhurst. I go to Allegheny School. This is how we found out I was dyslexic, because I got left back in kindergarten, and then in first grade, we know I was dyslexic. So then second grade, I had to go to this thing where I had to get tested, and then that's how I found Miss Leanne over there. And now I can read much better. So that was my journey of Miss Leanne. And a shout out to Miss Brittany. She's not here, but if she was here, she would probably love me.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. Next up, we have Sage Myers. Is Sage Myers ready?
Hi, I'm Sage. That sounds weird. I'm 13, and I live at Babcock Lake in Grafton. I'm in 8th grade, and I go to Hoosick Falls School. I am a student with dyslexia and ADHD. At school, I have an IEP, which allows me to have extra time on tests that are always read to me. I go to a resource room for 45 minutes every day where I can ask for help with my schoolwork. I am exempt from Spanish class, and I'm going to try it next year because I really want to learn it. I love art class, but I also just found out that I am qualified for summer school for my core classes. My mom has put me through many expensive reading assessments and private tutoring over the years. Ever since I was in first grade or kindergarten, these services have amounted to nearly $10,000 over the years. I've had to work twice many, maybe 3 times as hard as the average student, just to stay above water. Right before COVID hit, I completed the Wilson Reading Instructions program and finally hit average. My average reading level was short-lived due to COVID, and now due to a more recent event, I suffered from a double concussion over the winter from ski club and in gym class. It's been 3.5 months, and I still am not cleared to return to physical activities, nor am I allowed to stay after school for extra help. I still am experiencing daily headaches. Interestingly, my doctor told me that individuals with dyslexia take longer to recover from concussions. I will say that I am involved in a lot of activities outside of school. For 6 years, I was on a swim team and can swim 120 laps in an hour. I am a 4-H'er and show my rabbits, dog, and goat. And my goat, Wolverina, earned grand champion at the Rensselaer County Fair last year. I've also been chosen to attend a 3-day 4-H career exploration program at Cornell University next month. Another paper. I am a member of the Children of the American Revolution, where I honor veterans and participate in community services. Despite my reading struggles, I took a scuba diving class last year. My mom helped me study and read the test questions to me. I passed the written exam and I then took a underwater scuba diving test in Lake George, diving 30 feet below the water, 60 feet below the water surface, and passed it with flying colors. I am now a certified scuba diver. In conclusion, these extra activities and other opportunities my mom has led me into have instilled confidence in me and filled in the gaps that were missing through school. These activities and accomplishments have made me more well-rounded student and provided many advantages to help compensate for my reading weaknesses. Thank you for listening to my story.
Wow. Great job. And Ryan, I think you have a career as a talk show host. You're going to be great. Okay. Next, we had Naquan, but he and I have to go do something. So. I've been over 40 for a while. You'd think I'd remember. So Yona Nemiroff? We have Yona. Hi, Yona. Come on up. Here you go. Just remember to speak into the microphone. There you go, Yona. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yona, and I'm a 10th grader at the Dwight School in New York City. From kindergarten to 3rd grade, I was at a dual language school where I spent half of my day learning Hebrew and half learning English. In the beginning of 1st grade, I wondered why I was the only one in my class who was unable to read in either language. Every night I would sit down with my mom and study for vocab tests that consisted of only around 10 words. My mom and I would go through them over and over, but I wasn't learning the words. As the year progressed, I got more and more frustrated with myself because I couldn't understand why it was taking me so much longer to learn than everyone else. At the age of 10, I left my school and began at the Windward School that specializes in educating students with learning disabilities. This decision changed my life. At Windward, I shined like I never had before. I was learning just like everyone else, and the best part was I never felt that I couldn't achieve something. I graduated in 8th grade, and I am now thriving in an IB curriculum at my high school. I still face challenges, and I'm aware that they will never go away, but I have learned that with hard work, I can achieve what everyone else can. I'm incredibly grateful to my mom, who noticed that something was not right when my school didn't. I'm also grateful to my amazing 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade reading tutor, Jill Lauren, who accompanied me here today. She has even created a book series called Hold Phonics to help kids learn to read. I know how lucky I am that my dyslexia was recognized early and that I have so many people supporting me. Because of these people, I was given an education that taught me in the way that was best for me. I am here today because I think that every dyslexic child deserves the same. They deserve a chance to be taught in a way that will help them succeed and have every opportunity that non-dyslexic kids have.
Amazing. Thank you so much. The assembly member is going to step away just for a few minutes to do an interview. And I'm Susanna Pasquantonio. I'm her chief of staff, and Allison Mingus, who I'm sure many of you coordinated with, so come on up. So we're going to take over for her for a little bit. So next up we have Kelly Johnson. All right, Kelly. Yeah, why don't you talk about this instead? This one's a little bit better, so right there.
So I wasn't sure what I was signing up for when they said you had 2 minutes, but this is always like one of those opportunities where I think you're kind of preaching to the choir, right? And when I look at the people who came here today, a lot of you know what the problem is. But as we spent some time with our senator and our assembly member this morning, it became very clear to me that our job is really to educate the people who don't have this information. So I've been using this phrase that a few people have told me to shy away from, and I've been saying we need to democratize the science of reading. And people say don't use democratize because it sounds like Democrat, and people are going to associate it with, political parties. We all know this has nothing to do with political parties, right? So democracy and Democrat, right, the word or democratize means making fully accessible to all. That's what this says, advocating for literacy for all, right? You're all here because you have a personal experience with difficulty learning to read. Your child, somebody. I brought a picture of my first kindergarten class 30 years ago. What I didn't know then, right, could have changed the course of their lives. These people are 35 years old now. They are probably parents with children of their own who may struggle. The time for urgency has almost passed. When Emily Hanford came out with her report in 2018, I was like, yes, finally, right? She made it accessible to all. Pandemic happened. Parents saw it in their homes. And I was like, yes, one more opportunity, right? Parents are behind this 100%. Parents are the ones who are going to move this needle. We're here today to talk to and make our elected officials aware of what the problem is. So I hope all of you have appointments today with your elected officials, because it was a really eye-opening experience for us. And I was so thankful that they gave us the time. And I know this isn't all of what they do. They have lots of other bills that come their way. But they're counting on all of you to educate them and help them make advocating literacy for all. I don't ever want to come back for another Dyslexia Awareness Day. This should be the last one, right? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you do not have appointments, you can see myself, Allison, or Joanne Van Slyke, and we can tell you who represents you, and you can stop by their office. People stop by our office all the time. We're here to serve you, so you can certainly stop by your elected representative's office. So next up, we have Megan Rosenbrock Wright, and then followed by Peggy McLenathan. So Megan, are you here?
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I want to say kudos to all you brave kiddos and adults for speaking, because I'm not a fan of public speaking. It's not something I enjoy doing, and it's hard. But I think everybody in this room knows that better than anybody else, dyslexic-minded friends and neurodivergent friends can do hard things, right? Our brains are made differently, and that's a beautiful thing. It's just helping everybody else recognize that that is okay and different. I loved the last speaker and everything she said. I think that we need to be the people educating other people and not go away. And it can be really frustrating because you feel like you're talking and talking in circles, but you have to be that squeaky wheel for your kids, for your students, for other adults, because they don't always know better. So we need to educate them to know better and then continue to talk about it so they do better. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you go and speak to your officials and don't stop speaking until we get these bills passed.
Great, thank you so much. So we would love for the next few speakers to just line up right here or come up so that we can keep it moving, because we want to hear from as many of you as possible. So we have Peggy next, and then Brennan Carney and Luke Carney. So if you want to join us right over there, and we'll get you next. And then Leora Radiciella. Peggy?
Good morning. My name is Peggy McLenathan. I'm a special educator and a dyslexic practitioner at the Village School in North Bennington, Vermont. I am a New York State resident. I am thankful for the opportunity to be here today at the 8th Annual Dyslexia Awareness Day. I'm here today with a colleague of mine, Michelle. Thanks for driving, because I'm a country mouse. My passion is advocating for schools to incorporate the science of reading into their curriculums. I also worked for DOC as a correctional instructor, so I strongly advocate for that population. There is no time to waste. During my 20 years of working in education, I've encountered too many learners who were not identified early enough. We have 50 years of research. We know what we need to do. Colleges need to make certain that teachers are being taught how to provide the structured literacy these students need. Literacy is liberty, somebody had a great shirt, and a fundamental right for all. We know that the brain can be developed like a muscle. Early identification and intervention is critical for dyslexic learners. Too many times we're told they will catch up. They're not far enough behind. Louisa Moats says teaching reading is rocket science. Reading needs to be taught explicitly. It is not like dyslexia is an unknown disorder. It's the most fundamental disorder that we know about. There's research, there's evidence, there's those fMRIs. The most fundamental responsibility of school is teaching kids to read. It's the most researched. It's the most common learning disabilities. Our brains are wired for speech, not to read. We need to be taught to read. We need to teach kids how to read. In 2012, I went back to college. I already had a master's in education and a special ed degree and an English degree and a bachelor's in marketing. But I still did not know how to teach a student how to read. I think of those learners I missed. So I'm here today to advocate, I get emotional, for colleges to help teachers have the prep that they need to learn how to teach kids how to read. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and that is one of the bills we are pushing today that's on our handout, so thank you. So we're going to have Brennan and then Luke Carney.
My turn. It might not look like it, but I'm a child with dyslexia. I'm lacking a bunch of stuff in, should have brought notes. What I really want to discuss is I'm not getting the stuff I need. It's really hard to keep up with your grades. For context, I'm failing English. Mainly because of some other stuff, but also because I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD. I have ADE. I have dysgraphia. And yet, I'm still going. The first time I spoke in front of anything was when I was 8, I think. I spoke at my town board about when I got tested, and found out I had a lot of reading and mental disorders. Well, things popped up, and I found myself, really. I found myself, I found who I was, I found what I was going to do. It's just expanded from there. And the town board has really gotten very bored of us. They've heard us over the last 5 years, and they still haven't done anything. And I really, really hope they do, but it's not working. So I've decided to take my search to the whole state instead of just my district. It's weird. And hope you enjoy the other presentations.
Hi, I'm Luke Carney, and I'm actually not a dyslexic or ADHD dude kid. So what I've been noticing about my friends in class and all that, it's weird, cause I feel like I'm either over grade level or under, because they're struggling so much that I don't even know where I am. And that's why I brought this guy today. His name's Louis. And can you say something? Apparently he can't. So it does have a note here saying that he is dyslexic and he has had to take a few extra lessons to help him read. He's doing really well. He's almost finished his first chapter book, and he wants to be a librarian when he grows up. Now, what I thought when I heard the dyslexia the very first time I heard it, I thought it was a cuss word. That's what it should be, but then I thought, in another brain cell or something, I don't know, that it was almost a war. It's like elementary is level 1 in a video game, and school is your sword and shield. But since that's disintegrating, if you have ADHD or dyslexia or disabilities, you can't win the war. And that goes through middle school and then high school, and then the final level, level 4, college, hardest fight. And it just, you don't know how long you're going to be there in college. If you were dyslexic in middle school and you were failing everything, you'd be sitting in detention for literally your whole life. And it could just be really annoying. I know I don't have dyslexia or ADHD or any other disabilities, but I've just been noticing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have Leora and Claire McHugh. Hello. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Leora. I'm 9 years old. And when I was 6 years old, I learned that I have dyslexia and ADHD. I'm very smart, but this made learning hard for me because I wasn't learning how to read the way other kids were able to. My brain needed me to learn in a very special way that uses all my senses and is very structured, but that wasn't the way my school was teaching, and my teachers didn't know much about dyslexia. To help me, my mom learned all about dyslexia and the best ways to teach reading. She decided that she would teach me at home with a special dyslexia trained tutor who knew how to teach me to read. We use the Barton system. I have been learning this way for 3 years. As you can see, it works. I'm reading this to you today, and I brought along some of my reading logs filled with books I read all by myself, with a little bit of help. I know. I read all by myself. I love learning at home with my mom, and I'm lucky she was able to do this with me and my tutor, Miss Janet. But a lot of families can't do this. I wish our schools could do it. Our teachers should be taught about dyslexia in school, and our schools should use the science that shows how kids can learn to read even with dyslexia. I love reading, and they can too. Thanks.
That was awesome, Leora. I'm so proud of you. Hi, my name is Claire McHugh, and I am the very proud mother of that reader who just spoke out today about her experience with dyslexia. By the time Leora was 5 years old, we knew how bright and intelligent she was. She was obsessed with American history, and part of what she wanted to do was be part of American history. She's come to me to March on Washington. She could tell you all about the major legislation, about women's rights, about smart gun laws, but she couldn't spell her name. She couldn't read the word cat. She couldn't do some of the things that she saw other children in her class being able to do. And when we started to see that she was having trouble learning the alphabet in the days of the week, and that she was struggling to spell very simple 3-letter words, we knew that something was going on. And she wasn't in the place where she could understand why things were a bit harder for her than her friends and the people that she saw in her classroom. So when I noticed that Leora was struggling, I really wanted to know what I could do to help her. And the public school teachers, the principals, and the staff at Leora's school in Park Slope, Brooklyn, were very well-intentioned and did acknowledge that Leora had struggles, but they couldn't tell me what they were. Dyslexia was never mentioned. The staff told me that they didn't have adequate training to really know what she was going through. So like many parents, I expected the public school to provide me information, for them to set up a timely evaluation to diagnose Leora, and to set up services, but that didn't happen. It was suggested that Leora just needed more time to develop her skills, and that I needed to spend more time with Leora on reading skills at home. We were given more reading packets, like I'm sure a lot of parents out there got those reading packets sent home, and I was given these tips. I was told for her to look at pictures so that she could guess what was happening, and to guess at words, and look at the words that were in the sentence to give her context. I know now that is not reading. That is not how children learn to read. I was also told to have her sound out words. That was a little difficult. When Leora saw the letter E, how did we know if it was the short E, or the long E, or the silent E? So sounding out letters without being able to decode makes things very, very hard. It makes you feel like you're not getting it. But it wasn't that. She wasn't instructed on how to look at letters and understand how she could decode them. So her reading lessons were going by really, really fast, and they kept moving to new material without Leora mastering anything that had come before. And I knew this because the year was 2020, and we were remote learning. So I'm sitting there next to her and seeing this as a front seat driver in this journey with her. So although we worked hard and we started to get reading buddies, it wasn't going anywhere. And I kept talking to the school, and what they said they were going to do, and maybe you have all heard this too, was let's wait and hope. We're going to take the wait and hope approach with Leora and hope that she's just slow to develop the skills. Hope that one day she would wake up and become a fluent reader. Unfortunately, this wait and hope approach is rarely effective, and it has a costly impact on our children. I wasn't going to wait anymore, and I wasn't going to allow any further costs to my daughter. Leora is very attuned to others, and she knew most of her peers were not having the same problems. And when she started to look at me and say, well, how are they doing that? Why can't I do that? I started to worry about her self-esteem and how this was affecting her emotionally, which is one of the most important things that we need to make sure our children have, is their self-confidence, that emotional ability to go through these experiences. So I stopped waiting. And I used my research skills that I learned in my PhD program to try and figure out on our own what is going on. I didn't know about dyslexia, but I knew that on our online searches that Leora had most of the symptoms and signs of dyslexia. So now I had somewhat of a label. I had somewhat of a direction. Again, having had to find it myself. So I had to discover, what do we do next? And I began the process of getting her evaluated through her public school. And I was met with what felt like insurmountable challenges. I've spoken to a lot of parents here today. I think the challenges that you've raised are the same ones that we had. Navigating the public school bureaucracy to secure proper evaluations takes months and years. Meanwhile, our children are falling further behind during their critical early education period. Her school is understaffed, untrained in dyslexia, and ill-equipped to administer a complete language processing evaluation. I wasn't going to wait anymore. So what happens is when you don't wait and hope, you better have the financial resources to do this on your own. And this is why I feel like it's a major social justice issue too. Not many families could go out and start to do this on their own using the money in their savings accounts. But that's exactly what we had to do. So when we were looking at the options, I was told that if she was going to be diagnosed with dyslexia, that we needed a neuropsych evaluation. And that neuropsych evaluation cost us over $5,000. And that's why I'm really, really happy today to learn that one of the bills that we're going to be discussing with our representatives today is going to help get them to vote and make it a law to mandate health insurance companies to cover this for dyslexia. Our insurance company said that if Leora fell and had a traumatic brain injury, her neuropsych would be covered. But because it was for dyslexia, it is not covered and would be out of pocket. So how many families are able to do this? Just like we were told, now that you have the diagnosis, well, some of the pathways to getting her school is that you would have to either send her to a school that could be a 90-minute bus ride each way, or you might have to go through the process of suing the Department of Education, because the cost of private school for this specific type of learning disorder is over $80,000 a year. $80,000 a year. Leora was in first grade. The math on that is just mind-blowing to get her through the 12 years to graduate high school. So this is an enormous disservice to my reading and writing challenged child. I never wanted to hear her say, "Mom, I'm not going to get this," or "All my friends read better than I do," or worse, "I hate school, I hate learning." So for us to deal with the situation and for us to really be able to support her, we had to go outside the system. I never envisioned myself as being a homeschool parent, but that's what happened, because we were able to tailor a program for her that was individualized, that we could hire the right experts, that we could make sure that she was getting taught the way that we know works for dyslexic children. The science is indisputable. We are not in a stage of still researching this. We have the research. What we need is to make sure that that is brought into systems where parents don't have to have the whole weight of not only raising their children, but also educating them and ensuring that every day they are feeling good about their learning experience. It should not be the fight that it is. It absolutely should not be this difficult and this expensive to help our children learn to read. So absolutely, I view this as a human rights issue. I view this as a social justice issue. And I view this as something that needs to take a top priority in any discussion that comes to educating our children. And I want to thank you all for giving us this opportunity to speak, for being able to meet with lawmakers, and I really, really hope that all of you share your stories and really have those stories resonate with the people that have the power to make the decision to vote yes on these bills. These bills would have made our life incredibly easier the last few years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claire and Leora. That was fabulous. Okay, so next up, we have Evelyn Gross-Whitebay, Tiffany Tangle, and Tina Carney. And we have a few more speakers after that, and then we will open it up to anybody else who didn't sign up but does want to share their thoughts with us.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiffany Tangle. This is my son Andy. He's 8 years old in the 3rd grade. My story is pretty similar to the last one because they are similar age. This is right now. It's still happening. We have known how to teach these kids how to read for generations, and we have generationally failed them. It is heartbreaking how hard it is as a parent and seeing him knowing how bright and brilliant he is, but how difficult it is for him to learn how to read. He has dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD combined, and anxiety. Obviously, his anxiety, think of the trauma of sitting in these classrooms. So Andy was in kindergarten when COVID hit. He was in a classroom that did have a special education teacher in the room. He did not yet have an IEP. He only had a 504. The teacher did help him. But me as the parent was like, hey, he's not doing this homework. This doesn't seem like it's working. And it was always like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Like everything is pushed aside. At the time, he had no diagnosis, obviously. He's 5 years old, just starting kindergarten. We sat down. He's our oldest child. We go to the school system to say, hey, things, like we really think he has ADHD. Like we saw that he couldn't keep task, he couldn't stay on task, he was always bouncing around. And they said, no, we don't see that for Andy. We have kids crawling under the table, we have kids running out of the room. He's so great, he's so well behaved. So again, when they're well behaved and they are bright, they get very overlooked, they get passed by. So then COVID hit and he's home and I have to figure this out on my own. It's before the teachers even decided to send home packets or do anything. And I said, okay, I know you journal every day. Let's start journaling. And he started at the bottom of the page and worked up. And I'm like, what are we working with? So I had to do the same. I had to research. I had to figure this out. Because of how hard I researched and have advocated, he has had his diagnosis. We ended up homeschooling for 1st grade because he couldn't do virtual. He got his IEP. We got vision therapy covered through the school. That helped him tremendously. He now fits words into like the normal paper spaces and boxes, which for a while I didn't think would happen. We continue to advocate with the school. We continue to try to partner with them. It's very difficult, not only in kindergarten where we told no, 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 in 2nd grade when we were going to get our neuropsych eval. Before, I sat down with his special education teacher who had worked with him for 5 months at the time. I said, listen, I know he has dysgraphia, I can see that, but I also really think he has dyslexia. And she told me, no, I don't see that for Andy. less than a month later, 2 months later, we had his dyslexia diagnosis. I didn't understand at the time how she didn't see it, but now I know because teachers aren't taught that, even the special education teachers. I don't blame teachers, I love teachers, but we're not doing our students any service by how the system currently is. I just want to thank you so much for putting this on and everyone sharing their stories. You want to say hi?
Hello. Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Tina Carney and Helen Roussel.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. My name is Tina Carney. I am the co-leader of Dyslexia Allies of Western New York. I brought 2 kids who already spoke from Rochester, New York here. It's their first time in Albany, my second. I was here 4 years ago. I'm with Kelly. I don't want to come here again. If I do need to come here again next year, I will, but I want to hear some action commitments. I want to hear what we are doing as individuals and as a groups to move this forward. I want to hear it from Dr. Rosa, whom I don't think is here right now. I understand that it might be at a local control because that's what I did 4 years ago. I came to this beautiful, wonderful marbled building and realized how bureaucratic and challenging that this system is that we have. But it is our system. It is a democracy, and we play parts in this. So I went back home to Rochester, and I started speaking publicly at Board of Education meetings, at PTO meetings, at town board meetings, on Facebook, on Twitter, in my neighborhood, in barber shops, everywhere. I'm trying to give you ideas of where you can take our awareness, because hands up, are you aware of dyslexia? So you go, we are, great. So, but people you know do not know. Teachers and educators and school board members and administrators and higher education and electeds and librarians and your pediatricians. We all have skin in this game. We all matter. We need to come together and talk about this and take action. So please take this awareness today, take it back to your local communities and continue to talk about that and ask them, how are you teaching our kids to read? How are you teaching our kids to read in Buffalo, in Queens? What works for my child who is dyslexic also works for my child who is not dyslexic. What he requires doesn't hurt him. Please come and meet me. And thanks for listening. And I hope to never see you again, but if I do, let's get it done.
Thank you so much, Tina. That was awesome. Very powerful. So Helen Roussel, and then Natalie Penninkane, and Maeve Callahan, if you want to come up.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Helen Roussel from Dyslexia Advocacy Action Group. Our table's over there.
Speak into the microphone. I think you may have turned it on. Hello?
Hi there. Hi there, my name's Helen Roussel. I'm from Dyslexia Advocacy Action Group. Our table is right there. We have sign-ups for Decoding Dyslexia New York. If anybody wants to start a support group, we have 12 parent support groups going across New York State. If you want to come and start a support group in your area, please come and put your name down. So our organization, our not-for-profit, what we do is we encourage parents to go to their boards of education. And you've got to remember this, it is not just a problem with dyslexia. Our data shows in 2019, 52% of general education students in grade 3 were reading below grade level. So that's 52% of children in 3rd grade were reading below grade level. And we know that dyslexia is about 20%. 52%? So what's going on here? We know that it's a teaching method. We know that it's the colleges aren't training teachers. We also know the science tells us we have very, very solid evidence. We can see from how many kids in 3rd grade can't read to grade level, we can actually predict how many will drop out, how many will be unprepared for college. And just to let you know, I added up, and of course there's a price, there's a cost to this. And I'm asking parents as part of our, to speak out, to speak up at their Board of Education meetings and ask your district to create a literacy goal, a district goal. So the district goal would be 95% of third grade students will read to grade level. So if we do it at the district level, we don't have to worry about this complicated kind of, I mean, you know, with all fair dues, but this is like, it's been 8 years I've been coming here. And I've just about had it, and I really hope it's the last time too, because I just find the whole thing very disheartening, and I just feel like to bypass all of that stuff, you could just go to your district and tell them, I'm not going to vote on your budget until you adopt a literacy goal. 95% of third graders will read to grade level. And unless they put that goal in, you will not vote on their budget. Just so that you know how much money here is involved, because kids who are not able to go to college, are unprepared for college or drop out, they are a cost to us, the state, to taxpayers. So it's like an invisible tax. So I added up all the school districts in Assembly District 82. That's our Assembly Chairperson's district. Like, no offense. I just thought, well, why not take the district by district for the legislators? Predicted dropouts from their third grade level in 2019 was 885 kids dropping out. Unprepared graduates, 3,427. This is conservative, these rates. Cost to the taxpayer, this is how much that district costs taxpayers. $193,420,000 for that district, for school dropouts and unprepared graduates. And really it's not, everyone's saying, oh, it's curriculum, and you know, really we've got to go and tell our district to get leveled literacy out. Leveled literacy out, because they are not, and this whole 3 queuing system teaches college out. We have to make these demands, and we have to ask them. Otherwise, they're wasting taxpayers' money. And what you don't pay now, what you don't prepare for now, we're going to pay later on, you know? And it infuriates me. But you know what? If you want to go and speak at your Board of Education meeting, I encourage you to just come and sign up. All I need is your county. All we need is your school district, and we can send you the data. You will be appalled. I am appalled by it. It costs New York State more than $3 billion a year for children who can't, for people who can't read. And it is not just dyslexia. It is a general education problem. It's general education. So please, when you say dyslexia, don't, because there's kids out there that don't have dyslexia that can't read. There's people, you know, there's 52% of kids can't read to grade level across New York State. And we think of ourselves as being the most progressive, one of the most progressive states in the United States. Well, guess what? Florida has 4 literacy laws. Florida has 4 literacy laws. Yes, they ban books, but hey, America does one, I mean, New York does one better. We just don't teach kids to read in the first place. You don't need to ban any books, just don't teach them how to read. You know, and so, but don't tell Florida that, because we want them to keep their literacy laws. But, you know, this is incredible for New York to be less progressive than a state like Florida, you know? So it's just so upsetting. Thank you.
So Natalie and Maeve, come on out.
Make sure the green light's on and hold it close to the mouth. Thank you, Sue.
Hi, I'm Maeve Callahan. Hi, my name is Natalie Pelicano. I was diagnosed with dyslexia at a very young age. My mom fought for the correct education, and I'm still not getting it. When support failed me from school, an angel came to my rescue. She's my advocate, my friend, my teacher. Thank you, Miss Stacy. Without you, I would never be who I am today. I love you.
So I was diagnosed with dyslexia pretty late. I was a sophomore in high school when it happened, and I'm a junior. I felt extremely frustrated in all my classes. I felt like I was under everyone, and I was trying twice as hard. And at some points, I would be doing my homework crying, because I'm like, why don't I understand this? Why can't I get this in my head? Why does it take me so long to answer all these questions? And my mom heard me reading one day, and she tutors a lot of students, and she heard me reading, and she was like, maybe we should get you diagnosed. And the diagnosis saved me, basically. I'm able to get a lot of services that I wasn't before, and now I no longer feel like I'm stupid. I feel like I'm very smart. Thank you, Mom.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, you're here. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. So thank you. One of the things, I don't know if I mentioned it, is that one of the challenges many parents had is that if their child was diagnosed with dyslexia or dysgraphia or dyscalculia, they couldn't use that word on their IEP. You all know that in New York State, they cannot tell you that anymore. They still tell you that, but that is a dyslexia law. It's the first dyslexia law we passed in New York State. It was signed by Governor Cuomo a number of years ago. State Ed has extensive information on their website. We can send you the link to that. To the extent you talk to your other parents and other people, make sure they all know that, because that's something that the schools still try to conveniently forget, and we want to make sure that they are aware of that. So our next speaker is Naquan McLean. Naquan, are you still, where are you? There you are. He came today from Brooklyn with his son. Here you go.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Naquan McLean. I'm a parent of 4 beautiful brown children from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about the struggle that we had in 2020 when we found out that my son, Jay Iris, was dyslexic. So he was in a very decent school in Bed-Stuy and was still facing a lot of challenges, writing things backwards, not being able to pronounce words like he should. And my other 3 children was diagnosed with speech delay. So we also believe that he had speech delay. So that's the kind of services that was being provided. So in 2020, we had his IEP meeting, and we said, no, there's something else that's not working. There's something else that it has to be. So we talked to the department, and they give us all of these things that we should do, and you should read with your kid and all of the things that they say. But we asked them, could we have a neuropsych done? Neuropsych, $5,000 to $10,000, some more than that, depending on where you go. We didn't have the money for it, so we had to put in some paperwork, and we was finally able to get the department to pay for the neuropsych. Once we received the neuropsych, he was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, and we had our second IEP meeting where they blatantly said, we can't provide no services for him. We can't provide the services. We've tried all we can do. We can't provide the services for him. So they was like, we want to send you to a non-public school. So we went, we interviewed with all of these non-public schools, and none of them fed him. I was not sending my 7-year-old son at that time from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn to Glen Cove, New York, which was one of the best schools that we found. So we decided to look at private schools. So we actually found a couple of private schools. He's wearing his Churchill shirt, and we found Churchill. And one of the things that touched me is when he began to go to Churchill and learn with students that learn like him, because I don't like to call it a disability, I like to call it their ability, because every child has ability and we need to be able to tap into the abilities of our children. So when he went to Churchill and you begin to see him shine, and you begin to see him smile, and he gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning, right, to get on a bus to be to school at 8. he doesn't drag out the bed at 6 o'clock in the morning because he's learning in an environment that teachers are teaching him to read, right? So I want to say today that this is a struggle. It's an ongoing fight. We are right now in a hot battle with the Department of Education to pay for his schooling, right? So it's definitely a struggle, but it's a struggle worth it, right? Because we're going to pay now or we're going to pay later. I'd rather them pay now. They say that by third grade, if children of color, right, black boys don't know how to read, they're going to end up in prison. This black boy will not end up in prison. We're going to make sure of that. So I thank our Assemblywoman Joanne Simon for the hard work that she's doing, and we're just going to keep up the fight to make sure that all kids know how to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Naquan. Thank you, sweetie. So I'm going to, I have to go over to swipe in to get on the floor so we can start session. And so one thing I want to say is, Susanna will be here and close out. I want to thank everybody for coming, for speaking, for not speaking and just observing. That's great. We're happy to have you here. We're going to continue to work on this issue. We want to work with you together to move this ball forward. I will be over in the assembly. We haven't started session yet because we're always late, but we will be starting very soon. And let Susanna know if some of you, if we do it in a group, want to come over, we can maybe get you introduced on the floor. And even if you want to come by and observe, you can always observe the assembly chamber as well. And so you can see laws being made as we speak. So I just wanted to say thank you again. I'm going to turn this over to Susanna and to let you know that hopefully we'll be starting session soon and we may be able to introduce you on the floor. Thank you.